Welcome to Recycling 101 for Homes and Congregations, presented by John Wilson, our speaker. And a special welcome to those at St. Francis who are having a watch party. What a great idea. Everyone, you're probably already muted, and we're going to leave it that way because we might have a big group. And we're going to be sure you get a chance to ask questions. My name is Lynn Lyle. I know a lot of you. I'm president of ICCT. That's short for Interfaith Creation Care of the Triangle, a network of 100 plus congregations. A big thanks to the organizers of tonight's program, Vice President Joe Ravenstein and Pat and Paul Kelly from our Earth Friendly Practices team. Paul will be introducing our speaker and Joe will assist with the Q&A. And thanks to our co-sponsor, Orange-Chatham Interfaith Care for Creation, our sister organization over there. I also want to thank each one of you for showing up tonight. During this chaotic time, we all recognize the importance of individual and congregational actions like recycling, while at the same time, we're doing everything we can to protect our democracy, which is clearly necessary in order to protect creation. Now, it's a pleasure to turn it over to Paul Kelly, who will introduce our speaker. Paul?
We are very grateful this evening to have John Wilson, who is a documentary filmmaker, speak to us about recycling. John is the chairman of the North Carolina Land and Water Fund Board of Trustees and a former board member of the Conservation Trust for North Carolina and the Catawba Riverkeepers Foundation and the North Carolina Botanical Gardens Foundation. He has produced several documentaries for PBS North Carolina and has edited the video series Climate Stories and the Sea. Wilson is taught at the UNC-Chapel Hill's Hussman School of Journalism and Media in the Department of Communications and a curriculum in Environment and Ecology. John is a member of the University Presbyterian Church's Earth Care team in Chapel Hill. Welcome, John. We're looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lynn. Good evening, everyone. The hat that I'm going to wear tonight is as an Earth Care team member from University Presbyterian Church in Chapel Hill, which I will call UPC going forward. I am not a professional or trained expert in recycling, but I have researched and learned a lot in order to try to help my family and my church congregation recycle better. I'll talk and show slides for about 30 minutes and then welcome questions, some of which I might not be able to answer. I am going to share my screen now, and please let me know, Lynn, if you can see it.
Sure can.
Okay, great. So my main goal tonight is to stress the importance of recycling right, or at least better, and to help you learn how to get answers to your own questions from your own local recycling authorities. I'm going to talk pretty fast to get through a lot of information. My understanding is that this webinar is being recorded, and I will also share my slides, script, and web hyperlinks with anyone who would like to see them in the next few days. So in 2019, UPC was certified by Presbyterian Church USA as an official Earth Care congregation, a program that inspires PCUSA congregations to integrate Earth Care into all aspects of church life. Recycling and composting are big parts of UPC's Earth Care program, and last month we were recertified by PCUSA for the 7th consecutive year. Okay. Recycling. First of all, is it beneficial? You bet. As the EPA states, recycling helps our environment, economy, and communities. Recycling conserves natural resources by reducing how much timber, water, materials, and other virgin resources we need to extract to make new products. It helps mitigate climate change in the US alone. Recycling saved over 193 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent in 1 year. That's like taking almost 42 million cars off the road for a year. Recycling saves energy. Recycling 10 plastic bottles saves enough energy to power a laptop computer for 25 hours. It reduces waste and pollution by diverting material away from landfills and incinerators. Economically, in 1 year, U.S. recycling activities provided 681,000 jobs, almost $38 billion in wages, and over $5 billion in tax revenues. In our local communities, landfills harm human health and diminish property, aesthetic, and recreational values, as well as land productivity. And of course, landfills disproportionately affect marginalized communities. And internationally, our American waste pollutes and negatively impacts other countries. So the EPA published a national recycling strategy in 2020. Look at objective number 1 in the EPA's strategy: reduce contamination in the recycling stream, which means more material can be recycled, less will be discarded, and higher quality recycled materials will be produced. How do we do that? Enhance education to consumers on the value of recycling and how to recycle properly. Exactly what we're doing here tonight, and I hope what you will do is you spread the word to others. I want to show you this great 15-minute National Public Radio documentary called Someone Else's Problem. Is recycling worth it anymore? The truth is complicated.
This is James Williams. This is James Williams' bale of plastic. This is James Williams' stockpile of 25,000 pounds of his county's recycling. See, what's missing here is the part where the recycling actually gets recycled. Normally, James would sell all this to a processor who handles that. But something is happening to America's recycling system. It's in a bit of a crisis.
We actually had to give away hundreds of tons of paper because there was no market for it.
This is Craig Hampel. He runs a recycling center in Burbank, California.
You might be able to get 20 or 22 tons on a truck, but it may cost you a few $100s just to move it across the Los Angeles basin.
Recycling, which was supposed to make money, was in fact costing it. And that's just one thing on a long list of things about America's recycling system that is no longer working. But Americans keep throwing things in bins, and trucks keep collecting them, and so people like James have had to come up with creative solutions.
I've actually acquired some semi-trailers so we can stuff material full of them.
This is a story about responsibility and what happens when everyone keeps trying to pass it off to the next person. And what happens when finally there is no next person. Here in America, we generate the most waste per capita in the world. And if recycling keeps going the way it's going, figuring out what to do with all of that is going to be a big problem.
Wow, okay. What do I do? That's a very good question. I am a department of one.
This is Monica Boehringer. She has unique insights as to how we got into this mess. Problem number 1, a public that is very disconnected from the reality of recycling.
Public Works, this is Monica. How can I help you? Is it out at the curb or is it on? Okay, it's at the curb. Hey Billy, it's Monica. How are you? The resident has been yard waste in the wrong containers. So let me transfer you over there, okay? Hold on a second. Certain items are like about an hour and a half outside.
Some of the phone calls that I get regarding recycling, the numbers thing, okay? There is something on your recycling, on your plastic especially, and it's like a little symbol with the chasing arrows and a number in it. They think they see the chasing arrows and a number, and they're like, oh, obviously this is recyclable. but it isn't.
There's all scrambling, all the marketers are scrambling to have their eco cred by having the recycling symbol on their packaging.
This is Amy Hammis. She's the recycling specialist at Burbank Recycle Center.
The recycling logo, which we call the chasing arrows, what it is doing is from the plastic resin manufacturer to the recycler, it's signaling, here's the kind of plastic we used in that particular product. So even if a package is saying it's recyclable or it's got the recycling logo on it, that's not always the full story. It's not whether we want to recycle something or not. It's about, can we sell it?
Which depends entirely on where you are, because there are virtually no federal regulations for recycling.
You go to someplace like California, their regulations are very different. You go to Washington State, it's different again. You go to Colorado, it's another story. And it's that lack of consistency across the board that adds to the confusion.
One thing about recycling that is consistent across America, residents' total delusion about what they can put in the bin.
They just think that the recycling cart is a portal to another universe, and it's not.
People in the industry call it wish cycling.
It runs the gamut. It really does. You'd be very surprised what people think is recyclable.
You name it, eventually it'll be found in it.
Let's see, a pool table.
Big propane tanks.
Needles, loose needles.
A neck brace.
We've had guns, ammunition, fireworks, sparklers.
The kitchen sink. Somebody called to ask me which end of the deer to put into the cart first.
We had a live snake recently. We were able to save him and release him out into a nature preserve. The one thing about the public is when they are done with the material, they're done with it. They're not connecting the dots, that there's a journey that item is going to take, and it's going to become someone else's responsibility.
Someone else's responsibility, a beautiful concept. And for America, that someone was China. Until a few years ago, America exported millions of tons of plastic trash, selling it to China to be recycled into something new.
China provided this huge, easy cure-all to overconsumption in the developed countries. China was hungry. They were building an economy based on manufacturing. You could send those contaminated materials to China, and they could put, labor at 1/10 the cost to sort those materials. And so for a while, it was a handshake agreement. We'll take the dirty stuff and we'll sort it over here. You just get us the bulk material.
The percentage, the quantity of valuable recycling material started to get smaller and smaller and smaller. The wishful recycling, people not putting things in correctly, the assumption that somebody else will finish the job for you.
Now, this wasn't entirely the fault of consumers. There are two types of contamination: contamination caused by citizens and contamination caused by manufacturers.
Say, think of like a canister, like Pringles or some coffees come in. That canister is made up of paper, cardboard, then inside is glued aluminum foil. All that stuff is recyclable by itself. But when you combine materials together, who are you gonna sell it to? The paper guy doesn't want paper that's got aluminum foil glued to it, and the metal person doesn't want to have to dismantle the paper, and we're not doing that. All we are is sorting it and selling it.
And both types of contamination were happening too frequently. More and more, we weren't sending China recycling. We were sending them our trash. Plus, China had grown so much that they were generating enough waste to meet their demand for raw materials on their own. Importing America's waste was becoming more of a problem than it was worth.
And they started looking at their own environment and what was happening. Then it really, the hammer really came down.
That's when we started sending our waste to other countries, and they started having similar pollution problems. Eventually, the United Nations banned the export of contaminated plastic waste to developing nations.
So the position that we're left with is we're still collecting all these materials, we're still generating all these materials, but now we just can't sell it to anyone that's going to make it into something new.
all right, what are we going to do with this material today that we've got 5 boxes coming in and only got room for 3? So everything just piles up on us, and we just move what we can when we can.
We have Earth, right? We have this one planet. We only have so many places that we could put our waste. You can't put it in the ocean. Look what happened, you know? You can't put it on top of a mountain. They've even tried to put it into a volcano. It's not working. We have to come up with a better plan.
This pile in the warehouse right now is probably somewhere in the vicinity of about 100 tons. And that pile is one person in the United States, about a lifetime of discards. That's about what it would look like. Recycling, it's one of those things where it not only does the public kind of depend on that emotionally to relinquish their, guilt about buying things, but it has been kept alive by the manufacturers. And this is a long history of this.
To understand that, we have to start here, in the 1940s.
The future will bring plastic fabrics wondrously fine, shoes more glamorous than Cinderella's.
When manufacturers started using plastic for consumer goods, they treated it as a durable material, using it to make objects meant to last.
There will be furniture combining strength with lightness.
But pretty soon, manufacturers realized that the fastest way to increase profits would be to get people to buy plastic, use it once, and then throw it away. At one plastics industry conference in 1956, a speaker looked out at the crowd of plastic manufacturers and said to them, "Your future is in the garbage wagon." And things started to explode.
Baggy's plastic bags always have the sound of freshness.
A new invention from Procter &
You just throw the whole razor away.
This new 2-liter plastic bottle wrapped, handles easy.
These lighter plastic bottles take pounds off your shopping load. And they're strong enough to protect against some of life's hard knocks.
Naturally, generating all of this new waste had consequences.
All these one-way containers that were just starting out were showing up in all the public spaces. So the federal government, U.S., said, hey, manufacturers, we want you to do something about this. They said, okay, wait. Don't restrict this, because these one-way containers are the best thing since, sliced bread. And so they said, okay, we'll create Keep America Beautiful. We'll talk about littering.
Coca-Cola and Dixie Cup and a bunch of other companies got together and formed an organization called Keep America Beautiful and started making PSAs.
Daddy, you forgot. Every litter bit hurts.
Right, Susan Spotless. Every litter bit, thoughtlessly dropped, blemishes a bit of America.
These got people to stop littering and shifted the responsibility of dealing with waste from manufacturers to the consumers. And for a while, that worked.
A unique day in American history is ending, a day set aside for a nationwide outpouring of mankind seeking its own survival. Earth Day.
By 1970, citizens were increasingly concerned about the environment. Manufacturers were facing growing pressure to take responsibility for excess production.
The garbage, the trash, the carbon monoxide, the junk.
So on Earth Day, the next year, Keep America Beautiful released this.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it.
And they have never stopped talking about littering, and they've never started talking about the excess production.
Keep America Beautiful's senior director, Randy Hartman, says that it has expanded its efforts to promote recycling. It partners with local communities to do so.
So this is a litter picker. People like these. These were a gift when I went to the Keep America Beautiful conference. Because I attended, I got 2 dozen of these. In 2017, we became a Keep America Beautiful affiliate. And so that's about recycling awareness and litter collection.
Recycling, when it works, is a valuable way to preserve resources. But we overbelieve in it.
The marketing of it for decades has been, you're saving the earth. That's all you need to do, public. Keep consuming. You can do all this disposability, and all you have to do is simply put it in that blue bin. Your job as a citizen is done. So it led to more disposability, really, and because we had that get out of jail free card to ease our guilt.
Has consumerism driven me mad as a recycler? The answer is no. What we would need to do is to work together with manufacturers to be more responsible in the development of products and maybe reducing some of the packaging. How do I square this with my life at home, for example? I've got an affinity for applesauce. My applesauce containers, those little plastic cups, are awesome for a lot of other different things. It's a single-use cup, but it's something that I could use again, and I do. And how I square with all of this is I have hope, and I have energy, and I want to ignite the passion in someone to reinvent what they have and maybe use it one more time, just for me.
Just eats at me all the time about recycling is we just keep trying to solve this on the back end, to try to solve the problems that are created upstream. I wish we could take the word recycling out of this equation and just talk about consumption and waste as if there was no recycling, because it has enabled some of the worst behavior I've ever seen. You guys want to take a bale home? Souvenir, I'll sign it.
So the EPA is actually urging the Federal Trade Commission to eliminate the Chasing Arrows recycling symbol for plastics, which it says will reduce consumer confusion and the amount of plastic winding up in landfills and incinerators. So how big is the global plastic pollution problem? A couple of quick and depressing facts from the UN Environment Program, which is the leading global authority on the environment. I'm going to read these. While plastic has many valuable uses, we've become addicted to single-use plastic products with severe environmental, social, economic, and health consequences. Around the world, 1 million plastic bottles are purchased every minute, while up to 5 trillion plastic bags are used worldwide every year. In total, half of all plastic produced is designed for single-use purposes, used just once and then thrown away. Today, the world produces about 400 million tons of plastic waste every year. That's 800 billion pounds. And global plastic production is projected to triple to 1.1 billion tons by 2050. In the US each year, we generate 48 million tons of plastic waste, and only 6% of that is recycled. Each year, at least 8 million tons of plastics enter the ocean, the equivalent of 1 garbage truckload every minute. By 2050, there will be more plastic by weight than fish in the ocean. I want to emphasize this from the NPR video. One thing about recycling that is consistent across America, residents' total delusion about what they can put in the bin. They just think that the recycling cart is a portal to another universe, and it's not. People in the industry call it wish cycling. I wish this would be recycled. So that question again, should I even bother recycling? Yes, every little bit helps, but doing it wrong can actually make things worse. This is from that New York Times article. In theory, every item you recycle can keep resources in the ground, avoid greenhouse gases, and help keep the environment healthy. And that's all good. But here's the critical part. Don't wish cycle. Follow the instructions provided by your local hauler. If you throw stuff in they don't want, the effort needed to weed it out makes it less likely that anything will get recycled at all. So, back to my church, UPC in Chapel Hill, we have these recycling containers provided by Orange County. I'm going to talk briefly about recycling in Orange County, then also about Wake County, the city of Raleigh, the city of Durham, and Durham County. And that's why I'm going to be talking so fast and showing so many slides, trying to cover a ton of material here. Again, what's most important is educating yourself so that you can recycle better wherever you live, and then staying as updated as possible for any local program changes and asking questions of your local recycler. UPC's recycling collection is included in Orange County's solid waste programs fee, for which my church paid the county $414 last year. I live in Orange County and I pay about $150 a year for this program as a residential customer. The fee does not include trash collection, which in Orange County is handled by individual municipalities or private waste management companies, not by the county. So each county, city, or private recycling program has its own guidelines for what and how to recycle. Orange County has a great website and a smartphone app with everything one needs to know about its recycling program. What plastic does Orange County accept? That's the big question. Orange County no longer uses the resin code number system, for example, 1 through 7 plastics, to identify which types of plastic are acceptable in single stream recycling, including curbside recycling. Instead, the county follows the SHAPE rule. Plastic bottles, tubs, jugs, and jars are the only plastic items accepted in single stream recycling and curbside recycling carts in Orange County. The county's website shows what can and cannot be recycled in your single stream curbside cart. And note the Recycle Right heading at the top of the graphic on the left. Recycle Right and Recycle More NC are from a North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, or NCDEQ. It's a campaign of DEQ providing recycling information to North Carolinians. There is a ton of helpful recycling info at recyclemorenc.org. All right, so back to Orange County. Again, tons of information on its website. I'm not going to go through all this, but everything you need to know is on this website, including this huge no-no. Do not put plastic wraps, air pillows, or plastic bags in your recycling bins because they tangle the recycling sorting machinery. But what should we do with those? Hold that question for a few minutes, please. Orange County's website has an A to Z waste and recycle guide where you can search for a particular item and see how to dispose of it. For example, if you type clamshell, you'll see that Orange County does not accept them in curbside recycling. They go into your trash cart. But check this out. The city of Durham's Waste Wizard, and what a great name, Waste Wizard, tells us that Durham City does recycle clear #1 clamshells. But Durham County does not accept plastic clamshells. More on Durham City and County coming up later, but I just wanted to show you that this really emphasizes that you've got to learn and follow your local guidelines. So back to Orange County. As the first sentence up at the top says, reuse is better than recycling. The county has multiple salvage sheds where you can leave useful items if they still work. The website also has a list of secondhand stores and charitable community groups that accept clean items that still work. And Orange County has a great recycling app, which has a curbside recycling calendar, reminders to put your card out, and its A to Z waste and recycle guide, which I use all the time on the app, often standing in front of my recycling bin or cart, holding something in my hand that I can't remember whether it's recyclable or not in Orange County. And if there's any info you can't find online or have suggestions or concerns, call or email your local solid waste department or recycler. I've done it many, many times. All right, turning now to Wake County, another very helpful website, which I understand is in the process of getting even better. Note that Wake County Solid Waste does not provide curbside collection. Instead, it has 11 convenience centers open to all Wake County residents. But the materials accepted in the county's mixed recycling program can differ from what the city of Raleigh accepts in its curbside program. For example, wouldn't you know, the county does not accept any clamshell plastics while the city of Raleigh does. The convenience centers are for Wake County residents to drop off their recycling and trash, and locations and operating hours are listed on Wake County's website. Wake County's website also tells you exactly what plastics and paper you can recycle at its convenience centers. It tells you how to prepare that, and it tells you which plastics you need to throw in the trash instead. Also, which paper needs to be either trashed or composted instead of recycled. Same thing for metal and glass. Tells you what can be recycled, how to prepare it, and what needs to go in the trash. Wake's website also has an online drop-off locator. So I typed in an address, and it shows me the closest convenience center and what it accepts. You can also use the filters on the left side to ask the locator to only show locations that accept certain items. So if you live within a city or a town in Wake County, your garbage and recycling collections are most likely coordinated by that municipality. Wake County's website includes links and phone numbers for those individual programs, and I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to drill in on those this evening, but there is that information on Wake County's website. Wake County also emphasizes how important it is to recycle correctly and to avoid, you guessed it, wish cycling. It lists several consequences of recycling incorrectly, which decreases efficiency, is bad for the environment, causes equipment and machinery jams, can harm employees, costs time and money to remove these contaminants, and creates unsanitary conditions for employees. Wake County also has a good how to recycle video. It actually has multiple interesting videos. It has some interesting frequently asked questions about recycling, including, of course, why would a plastic container have the recycling arrows on it, even though it can't be recycled in my community? Down at the bottom in red, note that it says 2 products can be marked with the same number and have very different physical properties. I really recommend the frequently asked questions section of different municipalities' recycling websites. As Wake County says, the best rule of thumb is when in doubt, throw it out. Do not wish cycle. Or better yet, says Wake County, when in doubt, ask a convenience center employee or email Wake County at recycling@wake.gov. And these are their words. We would love to talk with you. How great is that? So Wake and Orange counties, as well as the cities of Durham and Raleigh, take their recycling collections to a material recovery facility, or MRF, or MRF, located in Raleigh, operated by Sunoco Recycling. Wake County offers on its website signups for in-person tours of Sunoco's Raleigh facility. Or you can take an online video tour of Sunoco's MRF on Sunoco's website. The City of Raleigh's website also has a great video touring the Sunoco facility and signups for actual tours. All right, we're moving on to Raleigh now. If you live in the city of Raleigh, your solid waste and recycling services are probably provided by the city. Here's Raleigh's Solid Waste Services contact info. Oops. I was going to put their contact info right there, but I didn't. So you can confirm that your services are indeed provided by the City of Raleigh by checking your utility bill or on the city's website by entering your address to find your services and collection schedules. There is great info on Raleigh's website about what and how to recycle in your curbside recycling bin. And Raleigh has both an online web tool and a mobile app with information on recycling, reusing, donating, or disposing of any kind of material. Here's the mobile app, which is called Raleigh Reuse and Waste. It has the same information as the Raleigh Reuse web tool, the online web tool that you would use on your computer. That same information is located in their mobile app. So this is the web tool where you can enter your address and it'll tell you your garbage and recycling collection schedules. It also has a wizard that tells you what to do with individual items. What about clamshells? They are accepted in Raleigh curbside recycling. How about plastic cups? No, they go in your garbage cart. What about a metal filing cabinet? Raleigh's wizard says, first, see if someone else can use it. If it's in poor condition, take it to a scrap metal recycler. And because I entered a Raleigh address, see that Raleigh address up there on Euclid Street? The wizard will show me nearby options on a map for a possible swap, share, give, or sell, as well as other options like scrap metal drop-off, and they will be sorted by distance from the address that I entered. Pretty cool. Very helpful. Raleigh's website has the DEQ Recycle Right visuals for which plastic bottles, tubs, jugs, and jars it accepts. Same thing with glass bottles and jars. Same information for metal cans and paper, cartons, and cardboard. It also tells you what to keep out of your recycling bin. Okay, I know there was some interest in this. Downtown Raleigh businesses, landlords, and I assume hopefully churches can qualify for curbside recycling of recyclables up to 6 days a week. Curbside collection of recyclables up to 6 days a week. Downtown means in the central business district. And that is the square that's bounded by Peace Street to the north, Blunt Street to the east, Cabarrus Street to the south, and West Street to the west. You can call Raleigh Solid Waste to see if your business qualifies, and if so, you can purchase carts and set up billing. Businesses outside of downtown Raleigh may qualify for curbside collection, but that will be every other week. Again, call Solid Waste Services to check out options and pricing. Moving on to the City of Durham, which provides curbside recycling for residential addresses in the city limits of Durham. If you have a blue City of Durham rollout cart, you are one of their customers. The city has a new Recycle Right campaign ad to help reduce its 40% recycling contamination rate. 40% contamination. That contamination costs the city over $300,000 a year to deal with. Its recycling guidelines are pretty simple. bottles, jugs, cans, jars, paper, and cardboard. For its visual guidelines, the City of Durham links directly to DEQ's Recycle More flyer, which no doubt looks familiar to you by now. Here is the bottom of DEQ's Recycle More flyer. Keep these items out and don't bag your recyclables. It is shocking how many people do. The City of Durham also has an online waste wizard. It also has an app, but note that the app is called Durham Rollout. I had to search in the App Store a little bit to find that. It's called Durham Rollout. The City of Durham also has interesting frequently asked questions, like some communities aren't recycling anymore. Will this happen in Durham? I'm going to read the city's answer, which I really like. Durham City Council reaffirmed its commitment to recycling by continuing to approve contracts with Sunoco despite the financial challenges that are sometimes presented. Recycling markets can fluctuate quite a bit. Some years the city makes hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenues from recyclables. Other years it can cost the city nearly $1 million to have them processed. Many communities that cut their recycling programs are now reevaluating, as those decisions tended to be short-sighted. There are other environmental and social factors that are part of the equation, so Durham proudly continues its robust recycling program. Way to go, Durham. Here is Durham Solid Waste Management's contact information. And again, I know I'm flying through these. All of this will be available to you all afterwards, or you can just Google it. Durham County provides recycling pickup to the unincorporated areas of Durham County outside the city limits of Durham. They've also got an online calendar, waste wizard, and an app, which they call Durham County Recycles. A little bit easier to figure out. Durham County collects recycling every other week, and each home is issued one green 96-gallon recycling cart. The county also has 3 staffed convenience sites for residential waste and recycling only. Note that Durham County's recycling brochure shows that plastic, metal, and paper can all be recycled together, but that glass should be recycled separately. Let's drill in on that. Durham County points out that glass is hard to sort in curbside recycling after it breaks. So it asks for help reducing the county's costs by voluntarily recycling glass bottles and jars separately at its convenience centers. And here is the contact info for Durham County Solid Waste. I want to also share a recent online article from WRAL News, which they published after a visit to a Sunoco recycling facility in Raleigh. It includes info about what can and cannot be recycled in curbside bins. It includes trends in the recycling industry and more. And there's a fun video of 2 Sunoco employees going through a box of items discussing what Sunoco can and cannot recycle. A few highlights from that. In your curbside recycling, please stop putting shoes and batteries in your recycling bin. Don't put clothes or plastic grocery bags in there either. Don't bag your recyclables. Batteries are a particular problem, especially the rechargeable batteries that power yard tools, laptop computers, and other electronic devices. These lithium-ion batteries have been blamed for fires at recycling centers around the country. Some of these batteries have a recycling symbol on them, but that means you can take them to an electronics recycling facility, not put them in the curbside bin. Sunoco estimates that 20% of what comes in ends up in a landfill, and that's about average for these facilities. Plastic bottles are recyclable, but the small ones can clog machines. Anything shorter than 2 inches probably shouldn't go into your recycling bin. Clogs are the most common reason for plant shutdowns, though it's usually clothes and plastic bags that do the clogging. Okay, That's it for the WRAL article. I'm going to quickly finish by talking about polyethylene plastic film, bags, and wraps. Massive amounts of it are created, used, and discarded worldwide, mostly after just one use. In 2018, Americans generated 9 billion pounds of polyethylene films, bags, and wraps, most of which would have been recyclable if it is clean and dry. Why can't we recycle plastic bags in our curbside recycling? Check out this short video from PBS News.
You're not supposed to recycle plastic bags at home. But why? The bags are made of recyclable materials, but recycling companies don't want them in your blue bin. Seems strange, right? It's due in part to single stream recycling, which is common in many communities. It works like this. You toss everything into one bin, and it all gets sorted at the recycling center. Special gears separate flat items, like paper and cardboard, from bottles and other containers. Air jets split lightweight bottles and cans away from glass. Electrically charged aluminum cans are repelled into their own stream, while magnets pull out tin cans and other metals. And after a beam of infrared light detects up to 7 types of plastic, a blast of air sends them along individual paths. The end result is huge bales of sorted materials, which are sold to paper mills, metal foundries, and plastic makers. So, what's the problem with plastic bags? The first complication occurs at step 1, the single-stream recycling bin. Here, bags get wet and dirty and become too contaminated to sell. Second, there's no mechanical process for separating plastic bags at recycling facilities. And a recycling industry representative said there's not enough staff or money to clean and dry the dirty bags. Instead, they either get tangled up in sorting equipment or accidentally end up in bales of separated paper. And if just 0.5% of a bale is contaminated by other materials, it can't be sold to reuse companies. In the end, most plastic bags are removed by hand and dropped in the trash, even if recyclables are inside. So, what can you do? Clean and dry plastic bags are still recyclable, but they must be dropped off at specially designated collection spots, like the ones you see at grocery stores. From there, companies buy the bags and recycle them into hard, durable plastics, like patio furniture. If you must choose between a home recycling bin or the trash, the recycling industry suggests throwing plastic bags in the trash. It might feel wrong, but recycling centers say it helps more materials get recycled. Another option, don't use plastic bags. Opt for paper or cloth bags instead.
So, what do we do? Enter the NexTrex Recycling Challenge, which my church has been doing for the past 7 months. Trex and other companies downcycle certain types of plastic film into durable products like outdoor decking and furniture. This avoids using virgin materials like trees and oil, and it helps divert plastic film from becoming landfill trash or litter. Trex is the largest recycler of plastic film nationwide, purchasing returned consumer bags and film from the majority of grocery and retail stores in the US. It uses more than 1.5 billion plastic bags each year. A standard 16-foot Trex board contains recycled material from over 2,000 plastic bags. If a church, school, or some other group signs up for the NexTrex Challenge and collects at least 1,000 pounds of acceptable plastic bags and film within a 12-month period, it'll win a Trex bench made with recycled plastic film. Here are the types of plastic that can be recycled in the NexTrex program. Remember, it has to be clean, dry, and free of food residue. And any plastics labeled with number 2 or number 4 polyethylene are acceptable, but this number is not required. So typically, grocery store bags, bread bags, newspaper sleeves, that really light, thin plastic. Here are some potentially confusing items that NexTrex does not accept. Note that frozen food bags, candy wrappers, and chip bags are a no. Here are two of the 3 NexTrex collection bins that we have at UPC for church members to bring plastic from home, and boy, are they bringing a lot of it. Note the signs on the black stands that we try to keep right in people's way as they approach the collection bins. And those are emphasizing, no, 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 do not put these items in there. So we do a lot of education, even during worship, about what to include and what not to include. We have a 3-minute video of my wife Ashley and me doing such a presentation on UPC's Earth Care website. So we empty UPC's NexTrex bins twice a week and sort out at home all of the items that NexTrex doesn't want before driving it to our nearby Harris Teeter and meeting the very friendly manager at the loading dock and back. In case you're wondering, we've collected over 700 pounds in 7 months. So we are ahead of schedule. If you're not certain if if you're not 100% certain if a particular plastic is acceptable, see if it will stretch when you pull it or when you try to stick your thumbs through it. If it stretches, NexTrex wants it. If it's thicker and doesn't stretch, or if it's shiny and makes a crinkly, crunchy sound when you squish it, it should not go in the NexTrex bins. There's a ton more information on both the UPC and NexTrex websites. Here's a list of the stores that participate in Trex recycling programs. You can arrange to take your NexTrex challenge collections to one of these. And folks who aren't part of the challenge can, or should I say should, individually take their plastic that's recyclable to a store, which usually have bins out front that say plastic bags. You can also take plastic bags and film to certain local waste and recycling centers like these in Orange County. But as always, check your local guidelines. Okay, almost done. To conclude, please remember that recycling really does help create cleaner land, air, and water, as well as better health. Recycling and composting save natural resources. In addition to recycling better, you can help by shopping for products made with recycled materials, buying items with less packaging, buying refillable, reusable containers, bringing your own bags to the store, and buying only what you need or will use, including food, of course. And at home, use bags that you already have and recycle bags you no longer need. Ask to be removed from paper mailing lists. Don't throw anything away that can be reused or repaired. For unwanted used electronics, try upgrading the device to continue using it. Otherwise, donate or recycle it. Print on both sides of paper. Use recycled paper, or best of all, avoid printing at all. And compost your food scraps and yard waste, and your coffee grounds, and paper towels, paper plates, greasy, cheesy pizza boxes. I could go on forever, but I'm going to stop there. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, John. That was great. John, most of the questions, let me get rid of this. I'm sorry, most of the questions that we had, you've already addressed, right? Or again, people are just going to have to look up their own particulars. But we got a couple. We find it difficult to divide where the discarded materials should be placed. Compost bin, recycle bin, and landfill trash bin when we gather the materials. This results in more sorting after gathering the materials after a meal or a gathering. Do you have any suggestions?
Well, yes, and that feels to me like it's coming from a sort of congregational perspective as opposed to an individual.
Maybe it says we're gathering, so it's probably for a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the most important things that I can emphasize for a church is to have what we call triple stream waste bins side by side, landfill, recycle, compost. And that way people, when they walk up, they see that there is a choice and they are hopefully more intentional about what they do. If they just see a single bin, say it's a recycling bin, a lot of times trash goes into the recycling bin or something that is compostable. So it's really important to actually have all three bins together. Let me actually share my screen again. Here's what I mean by triple stream bins. This is University Presbyterian. Thanks to our dear friends Karen Mills and Linda Bourne of Binkley Baptist Church, who often call themselves the trashy women. They are the best educators and evangelists for churches and individuals to implement composting programs. They were our guide stars and saviors in selecting how to deploy triple stream collection bins. And you can see we've even got them down in our preschool area. So there's that. Let me just tell you something about our composting program because it's actually kind of fun. In 2019, one of the first new programs that we implemented at University Presbyterian was composting. We have every second Sunday of every month, we have a church potluck lunch. And forever, I mean, I don't know how long we have been doing these, but forever, everything went into the trash afterwards. All of the leftover uneaten food, all the paper plates, paper cups, plastic utensils, etc. Everything went into the trash. And so in September of 2019, Ashley and I, my wife Ashley and I, weighed all of the trash, and it weighed 82 pounds. The very next month, October of 2019, at the second Sunday lunch, we introduced composting. We composted everything we possibly could. And guess how much the trash that ended up going to the dumpster weighed with everything else composted? 2 pounds. 2 pounds went to the dumpster, and the rest was composted. And then our preschool started composting a month later, and that's when things got real. We're part of Orange County's commercial composting program, so even chicken bones and meat bones can be composted. We have 8 compost carts out behind our dumpsters that are provided to us at no charge by Orange County. It's part of its commercial downtown composting program. And over the 5 years that we've been composting, we've diverted 87,000 pounds from landfills. That's the equivalent of not driving 255,000 miles. All right, sorry. I deleted that because I didn't have time, but you teed me up for that with that question about triple stream. So I got to stick it in there. If your church isn't composting and is interested in composting, or you're not composting at home individually, it is one of the best things you can do for the planet, and people in your church will go bananas for it. Presbyterians are going wild about composting. It's fantastic. What's that, Joe?
No.
And yes, I see our Care of Creation leader here chomping at the bit to get that information, John. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Maybe one last question, John. It's you might have addressed most of this already, but this question asks you to address the reality of plastic recycling. Am I doing any good in placing my plastics in the recycling bin? And what about bringing plastic bags to local drop-off points? Is this actually useful? Some articles I have seen suggested otherwise. I don't want to be the cause of large amounts of plastics being shipped overseas. How can we address the overuse of plastics?
That is such a great question. So the answer to the first two questions, should I continue to recycle plastic? Yes and yes, because if you don't, all that plastic that unfortunately comes through your life is either going to go to the landfill, or it's going to be incinerated, or it's going to wind up as waste. I mean, think about these lightweight plastic bags. They are some of the most frequent types of trash that you see in the streets, in the beaches. They're usually used on the go. They fall out of people's pockets and they blow in the wind. So yes, but the most important thing is to reduce the amount of plastic that is manufactured and used in the first place. And that's why it's so important to try to really be intentional about buying things with less packaging. Try to avoid at all costs. I feel sick to my stomach whenever I take a plastic bag out of a store now. Just try in every aspect of your life to reduce the amount of plastic that you as a consumer need to consume. Support businesses that use less plastic in their packaging. Also, I will say, the NexTrex Challenge is a fantastic way to make the point to everybody how much plastic comes through our lives right now and what a huge problem it is. People bring into University Presbyterian Church enormous amounts of plastic every Sunday and put them down in those NexTrex bins. And they come up to me all the time and they say, I am shocked and embarrassed and horrified by the amount of, oh, there's my alarm telling me to take my recycling bin to the street right now. How much plastic is a part of my life, and it is so true.
So I've got 30 or 40 questions here that came in as people registered, and I really do think your presentation addressed all of it. It's all these questions about what about clamshells? What about plastic bags? Is it worth doing? Is it, what can't I recycle? So, I think your advice that we all have to look up our specific municipalities and just learn how to do this. I think the problem is, personally, I never learned how to do it. I'm just a lazy bum. So now it's, you made it easy. At least you gave us the place to learn how to do this correctly.
It really is something that we must all learn how to do better, and the information is there. And let me just say one last thing: the slides I was showing you, I created on Google Slides, and the script, literally what I said about each one of those slides, will be contained. When you get the link to my slides, you will see the slide, and then down below it will be, for each slide, exactly what I said. And it will also include lots of hyperlinks that will take you to all the different places that I was referencing and showing you visuals from. So if you still have questions, I'm happy to answer them, but forgive me if you ask me a question, I might just say back to you, did you ask your local recycling provider that question?
That's fantastic, John. Thank you.
Sure.
So I just have to jump in here and say, if you need some motivation, I just want to make 2 points. One was, last week, I attended a League of Women Voters in-person meeting with well over 100 people to hear 2 researchers from Duke University who are studying plastics. And it's just amazing. These nanoplastics are in our brains, in our hearts, our bodies, and all over the world, everywhere. And either yesterday or today, there was an article in the Washington Post about how the chemicals that come from plastics that are in our environment are killing people with through heart disease. And you just read more and more about these terrible effects of plastic on human health. So that's a lot of motivation to get started on what John has helped us with. Thank you, John. Joe or Paul, do you want me to close us out tonight, or were one of you planning to?
Someone who has their hand raised. Who was it, Pat? I can't see.
Oh, Gail Powell.
Gail.
Can you
Can you
unmute?
mute
Can you
Gail
find
Powell?
Gail?
There she is. I'm asking her to unmute. Gail, can we hear from you?
I thought I just sent a message in the chat, but I would like to comment that this has been absolutely wonderful and really helpful and informative, and hopefully all of us will go home and back to our churches and start doing all of these things. So thank you. Wonderful, wonderful program.
So all of you whose faces are shown, why don't we give a hand to John Wilson for a great presentation tonight. And thank you all for coming, and I'll close with these 4 sentences. May the spirit of love, reverence for all life on earth, and the joy of being together with others who care for creation be with us now and in the days to come. Amen. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, everybody.